Hi guys, did you get a message that I was running late?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Were you surprised?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Thank you very much. If you don't know me, I run on CP time, color people time. Yeah, it is. That's truly not it. Okay, maybe. I just want when I'm doing individual, especially, I will say to you, if your test is coming up in the next couple of days, you need a little bit more from me today. But you have to understand that the next time somebody else might need a little bit more from me. And that puts me off for my entire day. I start at 9 a.m. I go all day. I usually get an hour break on Saturday and Sunday. I go all day. So I'm sorry, but I don't apologize. I will make sure that you get all of your time. I really will. And I will pour everything I have into you. Always, always, always. But I know that not being on time can sometimes be seen as disrespectful of your time, and that's not what it means. I value your time. I value that you chose to spend time with us. So don't you ever think that I just blew you off. That's not the case most time. Okay, sometimes, but I don't leave anything on the table ever. I try to pour everything I have into you. There's no reason why you shouldn't pass this test. I know everything. No, I don't. I know how to teach you content and how to teach you how to pass the test. Is my goal to make you a better clinician?
No.
When you pass the test, automatically you're better, right?
No.
And it says pass, the heavens open up, giftings fall out, and all of a sudden you know everything.
I wish.
Nah, you don't. What I want you to do is be the very best you. People talk about integrative and eclectic. Which do you want to be?
Integrative.
Eclectic.
You do not want to be eclectic. You want to be integrative. One of your college professors said to you one day, you want to be eclectic. You do not want to be. Eclectic is basic ID. That's Lazarus, right? If you don't know what that means, go look at one of my videos on theory or look in the Helwig book. You do not want to be eclectic. You're a jack of all trades, master of none. What you want to be is integrative. You use a little CBT, you use a little DBT, you use some person-centered. But the way that you use it is you're expert with those techniques. And your client do well because you pull a little bit from all those techniques. The downfall for the test is when you pull from those techniques, you cannot use your version of CBT on the test. Unless it says your name, first name, last name, social security number, your firstborn, all those things. We don't care what you do. Everyone takes a standardized test, which is the exact same test. So again, I'm not teaching you to be a better clinician. Please don't stop what you're doing. Even when I tell you some things are unethical, that's between you and somebody else, not me. I only want you to get this sheet of paper. It's a sheet of paper that's stopping you from what I believe your higher powers called you to do. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Dr. Pam. It is Dr. Pamela. Oh, it's Dr. Pamela Janine Winton Turner. My name's like this long. I know. Blah, 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 blah. Been in the field forever. Blah, 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 blah. Not an LPC. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. You can just Google me. I always out myself before anybody else outs me. So if you've not been to group before, welcome, 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 welcome. Anybody first time meeting me? Hello, hello. Vera, where are you?
I'm here.
Vera, that doesn't really help me.
Yeah, it's a blonde answer.
Oh, that
New
was
York.
a microaggression. If I had said that.
So it's New York. Hi. Hello, Dr. Pam. Hi, everyone.
So how did you get here?
I believe it was through the link they sent me.
Oh, that's a definite blonde answer. How did you find me? How do you know about us?
Yeah, that one I didn't mean to really.
I'm not going to say it's
sound
a blonde
blunt.
answer. I think that American English is probably not your first language.
Correct. Yeah, I'm Eastern European girl. Yeah.
Got it. So American idioms are hard. If you learned the Queen's English, if you learned British English, if you learned anything other than American English, so that sometimes really can mess you up on the test, right? Because Americans got these terms like what does that mean, right? So where are you from originally?
So from Russia.
And how long have you been in the United States?
Since 2000.
Pretty
Wow.
so your whole life? You don't look much older than 25. So
Oh my God. Shh.
okay, we're gonna go with that then, right? Very nice to meet you. Are you a first-time test taker?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Anybody else first time? You got to raise your hand slow because I'm old. Okay, I see Tammy Richardson. We've met, have we not? I've seen your name before.
Yes, I've been to several of your group sessions. I also, Jasmine is my tutor.
I love Jasmine.
Yes.
So if you live in my area, my city, I live in Chattanooga. If you live in my area, you get to tutor at my house. And I love to cook. So you get to come and break bread with me and I tutor you at my house. So that's how I met Jasmine. She lived in my city. We tutored together. We became friends. And now she works for us. But yes,
well, that's not fair.
Well, move to Chattanooga. That is not my problem. I cannot help where you live. Okay. So my kids are all grown up. I'm an empty nester. I have 2 dogs and I love to cook. I really do. When the kids were little, I do a lot of dinner parties, a lot of catering. So I just love to cook. So I used to do a Thursday night open dinner and anybody who lived in my area could just come to my house for dinner. And I do like good stuff. I break out like the good china. I'm just saying, okay. Because I got nobody else to break it out for, just me. So if you happen to be in my area on a Thursday, or let me know and I will definitely cook for you and break out the good stuff and we can tutor live at the same rate, no extra charge. So I love Jasmine. And then she moved away. She was here and then she moved away. She wants to get her PhD. How dare she leave me? I'm more important than her PhD, right? Yeah, but she's great. She's absolutely great. Let's see here. Tiffany, it says student intern. Did I do this with you already? You're muted, Tiffany. Do you guys hear her? I don't hear you. Well, we're getting together. Anai, why are we still together?
I'll be leaving you March 31st. That's when I take my test.
Okay, nothing personal. We've just known each other for way too long.
I know.
I struggle with long-term relationships. That's probably why I'm not married. I just, I don't know how to do. How's your studying going?
It's going well. It's going well. I have study buddies.
Do you feel like you're ready?
Maybe. Who knows?
Well, I know. So when you tutor with us individually, if you're not ready, we tell you. So yeah, we don't know everything, but we'll tell you. We do this all day, every day. So if you're missing lots of questions, I'll say, I'm concerned. I'm concerned. Let me just back up. So if it's your first group with us, what we do is in the beginning, we do this. That's a test question too. This first part is the warm up, right? And then we get to the discussion and then we close out. That's a test question of how group works. So this is the warm up. In real world, when I do groups, sometimes I do roses and thorns. What I do in this group is I try to get to know people that I don't know. And I also then will you can ask me questions that are not related to what we're discussing tonight. we're discussing the DSM. That's our topic for tonight. So any other question you want to ask me that you've seen anyplace else, not on Pocket Prep, or you see it on Pocket Prep, you saw it on anybody's platform, I don't mind. We'll answer those questions. I'll remind you that your camera has to be on and you have to be sitting in front of your camera. I don't mind if you watch it later. I really don't mind. I don't. The reason that I ask you to have your camera on during session is because I want you to learn that you are important. We ask that you study for 90 days for an hour, 3 hours a day, 3 separate hours a day, an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, an hour at night. Your last 30 days, I'm going to ask you to stay off social media totally and TV totally. And I just want me to be in your head over and over and over again. I want you to know everything that I have to say. My goal is again, I'm not trying to keep any information from anybody ever. We don't teach everything on the test. That is not our goal. The purple book, I think, gives you every last detail and you just don't need all that stuff. I want you to know the important things. I just want you to know the theorist who said what and what we might find on the test. If you know what you know so really well, then the things you don't know will be easy because you already know what it can be. So that's the way that we tutor. We've been around almost 10 years as my private tutoring company. I'm a college professor, if you don't know that. I'm retiring this year. I'll be 60 in October. Academic Coaching for World Changers will be headquartered outside of the United States. We're not sure yet, but it'll be warm. I tell you that I'll be tutoring in my bikini and I'll be 70 and my tits will be down at my knees, but it's okay. Just so you know, normal human development. Okay, so.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
When is your book coming out?
Oh, it's out. We just have, you just hit a sore spot. Did my staff ask you to ask me that question?
No, because I remember you mentioning it, that you were going to take it out in January.
We're in the studio recording it.
Okay.
So we have our own material, audiobook. So we're doing studio time to record it. So right now we recommend the Howick book, but we've got our own material that we finished right before Christmas and audio. So we're very excited about that. Yeah. So anyway, there'll be a big release and you'll know. Okay. Other questions. Again, I don't ever pretend I'm not an LPC. I've never taken this test. I got a PhD and I'm still owing like $100,000 for courses. I cannot go back and take another education class to go to a K-CREP school to take this test. So not doing that, but I do love tutoring. The last 15 years, all I do is teach. I do a little, some consultation, but I don't usually work in the field anymore, but 30 years plus in the field. So, and I hope that every interaction you have with any one of my staff members shows that we love what we do. I really hope that always shows. It's a stupid sheet of paper. Okay, so back to you. I was talking to you, Tiffany. Can I hear you now?
I hope so. Can you?
There we go, Tiffany.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Have we had a conversation before? Have we met? Did we talk about this?
No, this is actually my first session. So,
Hello.
hi.
It says student intern. Does that mean you're taking the CPCE or the NCE?
The NCE.
Okay.
This is my last semester.
Your school does not require the CPCE?
So I do have the exit exam that I'll take in May, but I also have to take this as well as part of a fellowship that I'm in.
Okay. So so is it they're comps or CPCE? How does it refer to? Or CECE sometimes it's called.
So they refer to it as just our exit exam.
What
But
school?
a University of Holy Cross in New Orleans.
I don't know that one. For most of the people that I tutor, that exit exam is harder than the NCE. If you have to take the comps or you have to take the CPCE, I personally think it's harder than the NCE. There are things that are on there that like how do you cite a website, or how do you cite using APA version 7? How do you, I don't know. So what I normally teach is to the NCE, but if you're struggling with that one, we do tutor to that especially. But there are questions sometimes I will let you know that there's difference between the CPC. Sometimes it's called the CEs. Anybody had that one? Every college has different rules of what they require, and some colleges require none. Okay, so anybody want to ask me questions that are not related to the DSM? Anything you've seen any place at all?
I would like to hear an explanation of the difference between Erikson and Erikson with the C. Erikson
No,
with
you
the
don't. No, you don't.
no. I
Nope.
don't need to know that.
Nope, you don't. All you
Okay.
need to know is Erikson. Tell me his stages.
Eric Erikson had the stages. Oh gosh. Let me think.
What stage are you in?
I have to think of the stages right quick. I have a fart brain.
Yeah, okay. You know me better than that, right? You knew I was going to ask you a question if you asked a question, right? So Erikson is my in human development. I use the Hellwig book, so he'd be in chapter 1 of human development. He is psychosocial.
Oh, she's muted. I think she's trying to talk. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. I was muted.
Erikson is psychosocial. What does that mean? Anybody?
I want to say because he believed in the social aspect of people going through the motions of moving to the next stage.
Great. So you're just going to ignore the psycho part?
Well, psycho, I'm guessing brain. I'm not sure. I don't know the psychosocial.
You're in the game. You're in the game. You're in the game. You are, but we don't just get to ignore the half if we don't know it. It just kind of don't work that way. Okay. So he actually went to school with Anna Freud. So his first 3 stages line up with Freud's first 3 stages. Freud is my psychosexual guy, right? Sex, baby. Oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genitals. Or old as Pam loves gold. When I first started tutoring, I did not use that acronym, but now it seems quite fitting. Okay, so OAPLG. So the first 3 stages of Freud line up with the first 3 stages of Erikson. The oral stage is the same thing as trust versus mistrust. The anal stage, according to Freud, as I'm learning, potty training, right? So that's autonomy versus shame and doubt. I put on my big girl panties, right? Wearing my Barbie panties. Look at me. I have an accident and then I feel shame and doubt. The third stage is initiative versus guilt. According to Freud's a psychosexual, what's the third stage? Anybody?
Phallic.
And what happens in the phallic stage?
The Oedipus and Electra.
Which means?
The Oedipus is about the boy who has an attraction to his mother and have a fear that his father would castrate him.
Chop off his penis, absolutely. Go ahead. And
Electra complexes the girl have an attraction to her father, so she have her mom have some disconnection or tension towards her mom.
She also has penis envy. She wants a penis like her dad, according to Freud. Yes, very good. Stay with me. How does that stage end? If it ends appropriately, if I don't get fixated, how does it end? Do you know?
They would be like a sex addict.
No. So that's if there's a problem. But the goal is, right, if I go through these stages appropriately, the phallic stages, then I learn to identify with the same sex parent.
Yes.
So if I go through the stage appropriately, at the end, boy and dad identify, and mom and daughter identify with as the same sex. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. If I get stuck in the phallic stage, and I become famous, I build the Washington Monument. I build things that look like penises. Is that a word? Peni? I don't know if it's the plural of penises. I don't know. The Washington Monument. So that's phallic, right? So phallic symbols, according to Freud, if I get stuck in that stage, then I'm going to build, things that look like very large penises. I did not make it up. I swear to you, I don't. That's just what Freud said. I also may drive an F-250 long bed. Really long truck. I didn't make it up. Okay. So if I get fixated in that stage, if I get fixated in the oral stage, right? I put things in my mouth. If I get fixated in the anal stage, I hold my sphincter muscle. What do you think about Jeff Bezos? I don't know, but that Amazon symbol looks a little phallic to me. That's not a test question, by the way. That is. I did not make it up. I'm just sharing with you. Freud said if men especially don't get through that stage appropriately, they spend the rest of their life trying to overcompensate. Okay, so just saying. Back to Erikson. So those first three stages are definitely going to line up with Freud's. That's the psycho. That's where it comes from. So psychosocial. Then the rest of the stages are how I develop socially. Okay. So remember that Freud, Erikson, both of them are developmental theorists. What does that mean? Right. A developmentalist means ages and stages. This is the stage where I should be at that age. We can talk about career. Super was a developmentalist. He said at 24, you should be fully in your career. So our theorists that are developmentalists talk about ages and stages. Our humanist theories, those are people that put people first. That's going to be Carl Rogers, Maslow, and Virginia Satir. Those are humanists. Okay, so again, just terminology that you'll see on the test. Again, please don't try to memorize these. You do it every single day, whether it's your own family, whether it's clients that you see, you always see people in these stages. And identity crisis. So Freud used fixated, Erikson used crisis. So the identity crisis is between the ages of 13 and 21. I can be 50 and still not know who I am and be stuck in the identity crisis. So keywords, fixated or crisis is an Erikson. Ding, 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 Erikson. I have to know these, but I cannot memorize them. That's not going to work for you. No, learn them. When you see clients come in, know what stage they're in. Know what stage you're in. Learn them. I'm not making you a better therapist. I'm giving you the verbiage of what you do already. Okay. When a kid comes in and they're 12 and mom's complaint is they want to identify as a furry or they're gay this week, I remind mom that's normal at that stage. The identity stage is I'm trying to figure out who I am. And most often at 13, I want to be like everybody else. Okay. So that's the Erikson that you need to know. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Other questions? Come on, this is your time. You've been watching videos, talking back to my videos. Ask me a question. Let me help you out. Okay. All of my not really shy people. Just some terminology that tends to be on the test all the time. The new terms of broaching and bracketing. Do we know that terminology?
Yeah.
What does it mean? Please share.
Bracketing means leave your stuff at the door, and broaching means to be careful about talking about a situation, broaching maybe a difficult situation or something like that, something hard to talk about.
So what do you mean be careful?
Be cognizant of the way that it could come off to the the client, you know.
You're going down, you're going down the right path. You're totally going to the right path. But I want to purposely bring it up. Okay. So broaching is making sure instead of waiting for the client to say something about something socio-political, I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to ask them about it. So most of us,
I'm sorry. So I remember your short when you were standing outside of your, I think in your car service, when you made a video of that, and I was getting ready to test the last time I test, and that was on the test, and I know I got that one right because I remember listening at you over and over saying, you know, broaching, don't wait for the client to bring it up. You bring it up.
I'm glad you did. I had nothing else to do but make a video.
Well, I need to find that short.
Yeah, it's that.
I remember it.
I have a Camaro. I seats barely 2 people, me and my dogs. Okay. I traded in my Equinox, my SUV, for a Camaro because I'm 60 and I can. I did not know that there is a battery in the back of the Camaro as well. So I had put a picnic basket in there and the ice had melted. And I had to replace the battery that was in the trunk of a Camaro. Oh, wait, that's accommodation. I had to make room in my schema for new information. Assimilation is it looks as similar. I assumed that all cars have a battery in the front. Correct, right? Assimilation is when it looks as similar. Piaget is where I'm going. And then I had to make room in my schema for new information. My car has a battery in the trunk as well. The trunk is this big. How can there be a battery in there? So yes, I was outside the, I'm glad that was helpful. I am so glad that was helpful. Thank you for sharing that.
It definitely was. And when I did the 15-week academic coaching, I thought when it was my turn to teach, that was 2 of the terms that I felt pretty good about teaching it because I had watched that short so many times.
Okay, Tasha, have we met?
Officially, no. I sit in on one of the groups.
Okay.
But
well, nice to meet you. First, nice to meet you.
You as well.
But I heard you say you took my 15-week course and you're still in my group. So that scares me. That totally scares me. Okay, so what did my coach, if it wasn't my group, what did my coach do wrong? Why are we still here? I'm listening. I just have to stand up.
If I can be very transparent, none of us in the group passed.
Okay.
So it was tough. So I did come back and I did the
so I'm just going to be so transparent. So Sharice or Jennifer?
Sharice.
Thank you very much. She's no longer employed with us. So
Yeah,
I
no.
do apologize for that. I do. I do.
Reese was mine too, and she was not.
Okay, I'm going to disagree. She is smart as all get out.
Oh yeah, she's
I
smart.
hired her.
I'm not
smart
saying
as all
that.
get out, and I don't want to discuss the reason she was terminated, but it was not because of her lack of knowledge.
Yeah, her knowledge is good,
Extreme, smart as all get out. So I am sorry, as the owner of the company, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Everybody that works for us was sitting in your seat. They went through our tutoring program. And I will tell her to the same face. She is smart as all get out. That girl is smart. There are other reasons that she's no longer with us, but as the owner, I apologize. I really apologize for that. And I'm very sorry. And yeah, very sorry. So I can tell you that I
did her my
hope it
first
doesn't
time and I
happen.
didn't pass. I did her strictly her my first time and I didn't pass.
It's not because of her lack of knowledge. I can
Oh
tell
no,
you
I'm not
right
saying
now,
that.
that girl is smart as a whip.
Yeah, because I thought she was. I had asked her about supervision because I'm technically still pursuing Georgia. I'm in Texas now, but I had started in Georgia. So, but yeah, I was wondering, and we was very close proximity.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her about, I asked her, did she do supervision? She was like, no, I just finished. So yeah.
She just passed. Yeah. And again, I apologize. I as the owner of the company, I apologize. I really apologize. I can't say anything more. But that girl is smart as all get out.
The private sessions I'm doing now, they are helping. And she actually was the one encouraging me to do private sessions. And we was about to start, and then that's when the scheduling kind of everything took place there. So, yeah. But I'm very happy with Miss Jasmine. She's awesome.
Good, very good. And again, you will hopefully never find anything out that I didn't tell you myself. I'm always going to out myself. There's not going to be, oh my gosh, I could have been coaching, did this. It was more of her just not following company policy and company rules. And I'm very strict about the rules of the company. You represent me, but yeah. Gosh, she's smart as I'll get out. I cannot, girl's amazing when it comes to knowing her stuff.
Yeah, I was watching her attachment video a couple of days ago. I watch it quite often too.
Okay. Do you have a test date coming up?
Yes.
Okay. You don't have to share with me. It's really okay. Okay.
I do. I need to get this test passed because right now this is all I do. And my daughter was like, she said, you got a study session again? I said, yeah, that's all I do. I should know this information inside out, but yet I still struggle.
What do you think the problem was? What do you, and again, there's 33 people listening right now, and you can say, Pam, I don't want to talk about it. I am so okay with that. I wouldn't ask you if I didn't think it was beneficial for everyone. So benefice, right? It's not only you, but what did you miss? What did we not teach?
I don't feel like I got enough of the is it the assessment and testing?
Okay.
I struggled there and I looked at my scores each time and it was about the same. So let me show you.
So assessing and testament, we say memorize. We teach that last. They're about 25, 26 questions, and we're going to say memorize. So we say those are the easy ones, but we do save them to last.
Yeah. So my daughter brought me this little visual study guide, and in the back of it, it had like flashcards you can make with the the tests. So I carry them around with me everywhere I go. Yet, I think just trying to retain it all gets me a little overwhelmed, and I do try my best to do 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour during my lunch, and 1 hour before bed. And if I'm not able to read that hour before bed, I definitely listen at your video. Sometimes I fall asleep on it. Well, I don't know if that's okay. Or not. I don't know if I'm sleeping because I still hear you when I think I'm sleeping.
Do you know that's okay though? That's research based. Research says that we replay what we hear right before we go to bed 10 times more often than what we replay during the day. So we do say study 3 separate hours a day. And if you have to give up one, don't give up the night one. I need you to sleep with me.
I do.
Thank you very much. Let me be in your bed.
I do.
Okay, that's all I need. Let me just don't let your spouse just let me and your spouse be when you go to sleep. That's all I need. Okay, so I'm almost stay there for a couple of questions. So when I say 68, 95, 99, what does that mean?
Oh God, that's the bell curve stuff, right?
It is. It is. It is. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Oh, that's just facts, right? That's right.
Yeah.
So if it's the bell curve, the mean, median, and mode are the exact same number, right? If it's not the same number, it's the skew.
Skew number.
What's that mean? What sets the top of my curve if it's a skew?
Mode.
The mode sets the top. Absolutely. How do we remember that?
Because it's the most numbers that are there.
Because Dr. Pam said ice cream a la mode.
And I a la mode. Yes, ma'am.
So that's the French term for ice cream on top, right? So the mode is always going to be on top if there is a skewed distribution. Okay. So then the mean guy sets the curve. The mean guy decides which way we go. Do we go left or right? The mean guy is always in charge. Okay. Is anybody having a panic attack yet?
One more time.
Okay. So most often, most of my clients have such PTSD from their college classes.
Cinnamon Swiss.
And I'm going to say to you, let it go. These are the easy ones. These are the easy ones. I promise you, I need you to learn chapters 3 and 4, our theorist, left, right, up, down. But when it comes to our research has between, if you're taking the CPCE, there's 16 in both. On the NCE, there are between 3 and 6 research questions. We're going to spend all of our time in assessment, knowing the verbiage that goes to assessment. The mode sets the top of the curve. That's the number that appears the most often. Do you know you can have bi-modes, 2 modes, bimodal? Do you know that?
It look
Anybody
like a
not know that? It looks like some breastises.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I use terms purposely to shock you. I use terms that you will remember. What we know is research tells us that you always remember things associated with feelings much more often. So yes, could I use the bar graph? Of course I could, but I'm not sure you remember that. But if I say that it looks like some breastises, because that's proper English, correct? The odds of you remembering that are greater. Can you believe Dr. Pam said that? Oh my gosh. So bimodal means that there's 2 numbers that appear more than once. That's all that means. Bi is 2 modes. Okay. So yes, we could say it. We could say a camel, but you all remember
I like
where you were. I want you to be on the test, and I want you to see that question and just laugh. I want it to bring back a feeling of comfort that you know what it means. Okay, that's it. That's all. That's our only goal. And I promise you, everything we do is research based. It really is. We remember things that are associated with feelings all the time. Okay. So 9/11 is, the big one, right? You can all tell me exactly what you were doing that day. So that's how we teach. So if I say breastises and you see a bimodal question, that's what I want you to come to mind. Okay.
Dr. Pam.
Yes.
I did a CBT group today and it did not go well. And I know that I know CBT, but when I tried to do a group around it, it was very boring, very bland. I guess I couldn't explain it correctly. So I guess I was just, I'm not sure what I'm asking. Cause you
So
have there,
what is CBT?
cognitive behavioral thinking.
Okay, so how does it work?
It changes your the way you think, changes the way you behave, which changes the way things come out. I mean,
Okay, there's an order. CBT is thoughts, feelings, behavior.
okay.
Okay, who's the author of CBT? Anybody?
Beck.
Okay, and what did Beck say about depression?
About
He says
suppression.
Depression. Depression. What did Beck say about depression?
depression isn't real.
Exactly. So Beck said you got stankin' thinking. The problem is you don't really have depression. What happens is the way that you think is causing you the problem. So how does he fix it? Anybody?
Socratic questioning.
Hold on. Somebody said so. I think that was Socratic. Who said that? Doctor, was that you, Dr. Shelley?
Yes, ma'am.
Socratic questioning. What does that mean?
That means that the client have the opportunity to explore like different perspectives, different ideas, see it from another point of view.
Who was Socrates?
The Greek god.
Okay. And what Greek god was he? I can only tell you because I was in Greece, and every time I get to throw a chance that I was in Greece, I will.
Wasn't he the Greek god of thought?
Of thinking. Do I have any former teachers in the group? Any former teachers? Do you use the Socratic method when you teach? That means you just keep asking questions. You just keep asking questions. So when you're tutor with me and you get a question right, do I care that much? Not really. I want to know why. I want to know why the other answers are wrong. I use the Socratic method. I'm going to keep questioning you and questioning you. So Socrates is the great god of the thinker. So the Socratic method is we keep questioning the client over and over and over again. Okay. So Socratic method is a client comes in and they say, "Oh, Dr. Pam, I'm depressed." I'm like, "Well, what does that mean?" And I want to say, "Prove it to me." That's what I usually say, "Prove it to me." Well, I didn't have anyone to sit at lunch with today. And I'm going to say, "Well, how come? Did you ask someone to sit with you?" I'm going to keep questioning them until they can tell me that what's the real reason. And most often there's not a real reason. The problem is their faulty thinking or their stinking thinking. So CBT says, if I change the way that you think, I'll change the way that you feel and therefore the way that you behave. Make sense? So he said depression is not a real thing. Depression is the way that you think. And if I can change your thinking, the way you think, I can change everything else. Now, remember, CBT is the evidence-based practice that tells us how we treat any mood disorder. Can someone explain that to me? Mood disorders are affective disorders. What's that?
Do you want to know what they are?
I want a definition.
There are things that inhibit us from processing emotions and feelings.
Oh, that sounds so textbook. Not buying that.
No, those are my real words. I promise.
But it's textbook. Tell me what it looks like with a client. Is that what you're going to say to a client?
No. So with a client, I would probably say things that are impacting your daily behaviors and the way you feel, the way you respond to things.
So my affect is the very good job, by the way. Very good job. Very good job. Okay. So the reason for understanding it is because there are very few times you're going to get that textbook language. It's application. You have to apply it. So what I know then is AFFECT is the look on your face that measures your mood, right? Affective disorders are most often the same as a mood disorder. Anybody have completed an MSE? Mental status exam? Oh, somebody's just lying. Come on, raise your hand. You've done an MSE before.
I have.
What do you look for in an MSE?
I have.
What do you
A lot
look
of
for?
a lot of
Parents.
things.
Oh, stop
And
BSing me. Just give me a real answer. This is not grad school where you can BS your way through a exam. That's why you all have 4.0s. No, give me some real stuff.
Like that mental health history, that background information.
How they come in, what they look like when they come in, how are they dressed, their emotional
Thank
expression.
you. Thank
The
you. Thank
relationship
you.
with people, everything.
Nope, not the relationship with people. Nope.
Not the-
MSC is what I see in front of me right now.
Oh,
Somebody said their background. No.
I use this in my job. Huh.
Okay, so all I care about is the right answer for the test, not how your job uses it. Remember that. You cannot bring you into your job. The MSC is very clear of what it looks at. If you have a car accident and the paramedics show up, they're going to ask you, do you know who you are? Do you know where you are and who the president is? That term is sensorium, your senses. They're going to look at your affect. Am I sharing my screen? Yeah. The affect is the look on your face that should match your mood. So many agencies may use it all the time, but I cannot diagnose with an MSE. All I see is what's in front of me right now. Okay. So either in an internship or in your job, most of you have used or seen a mental status exam. You might have taken one if you, again, you had a car accident. The airbag went off and it hit your head. So the MSE is what I can see. I'm looking at your appearance. I'm looking at your speech. Your affect is the look on your face. The affect is, does the look on your face match your mood? Yes, I'm fine. Schizophrenics have flat affect. Yes, I had a wonderful day today. That doesn't match. That's either going to be a flat or constricted affect. Okay, so the MSE, you cannot diagnose with it. I don't care what your agency does, and we should not be using it every time a client comes in. We only use it in the beginning. That's my mental status exam. Okay, so affect is the same as mood. And God knows I forgot where I was going with this question. Where did I even start here? Where was I going? I have no idea.
You asked about affective disorder.
Oh, CBT. That's where I was going. Okay. So the correct answer for the test for a mood disorder, and I'll put these in your chat box, a mood disorder are these: depression, bipolar, schizoaffective. All of these things are mood disorders. For the test, the right answer, the evidence-based answer to how we treat a mood disorder is always going to be CBT and meds. Always, always, always. It's evidence-based. It's research-based. That's the right answer for the test. I don't care what you do in your office. The question doesn't ask what you do in your office. The question only asks what is the right answer. There's a question on Pocket Prep that says, according to the HMO, the insurance companies, what would you do? And they say just medication, because your insurance companies want to save money. Okay. All of our treatments are not evidence-based. Carl Jung, person-centered, there's no research, there's no evidence that says that works. Evidence-based means that we can prove it. So evidence-based research of how we treat mood disorders is CBT. That's where I was going with that. Okay, so the question is you said you taught CBT today and you were kind of lost. Is that what I heard you say?
Yes.
LaShonda, I think that was you. Okay. So how were you lost? Or let me help you. Ask me questions.
Well, I went in with the group, and this is a group of ladies that I do counseling with every once a month, but I talk to twice a week.
Okay.
So I wanted to do something, because all of them have different moods, but going through different things, but all of them have depression or some type of outburst or anger or something like that. And it just didn't take well. I don't know. I don't know. It just didn't take well.
Okay.
And
so for most people, it doesn't. CBT, and those of you that tutor with me, and I tell you that you've been studying wrong, or the way you've been thinking is wrong, you don't usually like me very much. Is that fair?
mm-hmm.
Honestly, you tell me, and if it'll happen the later as we go on, I will say that's just not right, because I'm changing the way that you think, and we don't like that, do we?
No.
I like the way that I think, and I think the way that I think works. And when I challenge the way that you think, you're probably going to get mad at me. I'm going to tell you that the Rosenthal book is not the best book to start with. But Dr. Pam, all of my professors said it was. All of my friends used it and it worked for them. Anybody in the group want to own that? Come on. Just own your stuff. Thank you. Own your stuff. And I'm going to challenge that thought. I'm going to tell you that there was a time that it really was the best book ever. It really was. In 2019, prior to the change, it was the middle of COVID, the test changed. It went from recall to higher level thinking. So it's not the best book ever. Sorry. Okay. So I've challenged your thought pattern. Does that feel good? No, nobody likes that at all. CBT is challenging the way that you think. So the goal with that is as I challenge the way that you think, you're not going to like me. You're not going to feel comfortable. But as we get through it, we'll understand that if I change the way that I think, I'll change the way that I feel, and therefore I'll change the way that I behave. All right. CBT started off evidence-based, broke up into two schools, REBT, and what's the other one?
DBT.
DBT. Absolutely. Okay. Everybody good with REBT and DBT?
Can you go DBT?
So hold on. First of all, I want to say to you, I'm very sorry that I would imagine today you felt a little defeated, that you learned the theory and you wanted to teach it to your clients and it didn't go as you had hoped it would go. I would imagine that didn't feel so good.
No.
Do you know what that's called, what I just did? Embody. What's that?
Reflection of feeling.
Reflection, feelings, absolutely. If I paraphrased it, I just put it in her own words that I understood what she said. Those are all active listening skills. You do this every day, yes?
Yes.
Am I telling you anything that you don't do?
No.
Am I giving you words, verbiage for things that will help you pass the test and things that you do already? Yes, we all do it. What I need you to recognize is the technique that you used. Paraphrasing is what kept your butt kept you in school. You didn't have to go for the board for plagiarism because you put the articles you read in your own words. Right? That's paraphrasing. Reflection is always going to be on the test. It's one of the most important skills that we use, and that's using the feelings words the client didn't say. I would imagine many of you are feeling overwhelmed at this point. I probably said some things that you thought you knew and maybe you didn't know, and you're got a little panic attack going on, a little anxiety. Can I get an amen? Can I get a something? Reflection. That's all I did was reflection. What's the term immediacy?
Being in the moment.
So immediacy is more teaching in the moment. Okay. So if I'm taking something that we've just learned, so what happened is you talked about reflection and I used it as an example in the session. Immediacy is taking that terminology that we use and bring it in the session. Okay.
Dr. Bell, can you talk about DBT, please?
I can, but I'm going to pull up some questions to make sure we understand some of the other stuff. DBT is by who?
Marsha.
Marsha Linehan.
I got it. Marsha. If you're not old enough to remember the Brady Bunch, just get out of my group. Okay. You're not old enough. Marsha. Absolutely. So CBT broke into two theories. The first one was REBT. And what is that one?
But it was
Tell me more.
Alice.
ABC.
Tell me.
E.
Okay. So
Challenging
Jessica.
irrational. Oh, sorry.
Who said that?
I
Brittany?
was about to say.
Okay. So
Challenging irrational thoughts.
Okay. So that's again great textbook answer. So
Right.
what does that look like?
So it looks, well, REBT is basically changing the behavior.
Nope,
No.
not the behavior. Stay with me, not the behavior.
The thought that caused the behavior, right?
Okay. So let me pull up. It's the ABCDE of REBT.
Yes. Activating something else.
Yes.
Event.
Activating event. Something happened. Okay.
In behavior, consequences.
I remember from your video when you talked about the husband leaving the wife.
Okay, so keep talking.
Okay, so that was the activating part.
Okay, so remember.
So the husband left the wife and the wife went to the next stage, which was thinking that she was the reason that he left. So I'm fat, I'm ugly, and now I have that as my thought process. So the consequence
hold on. So that was what?
The behavior. Sorry. That was the behavior. Because I believe that belief.
Let's clarify, okay? So
that was the belief that I got from him leaving.
I just want to clarify, okay? You're in my game. I swear we're playing baseball. You bought your game, you bought your mitt and your bat. You are in the game, okay?
Right.
Let
Got
me
it.
just clarify. So irrational belief system is an offshoot of CBT. Beck said you got stinking thinking. Beck used the word automatic thoughts. I wake up in the morning and automatically think I'm worthless. I'm a piece of crap. I overgeneralize. I magnify. I make a mountain out of a molehill, right? Okay, that's CBT. So REBT, you're right, is Ellis. Ellis doesn't say I wake up in the morning with an issue. Ellis says that something happens. And the problem then something happens is my belief system about what happened. Okay, let me do this one, okay? So none of you, other people that I tutor, you took the test and you failed. That's the event. Your belief system is, oh my gosh, I'll never be a good therapist. My mama was right. I should have been a teacher. I should have gone to nursing school. I'm stupid. I'm blah, blah, blah. That's my belief system. Not you guys, right? None of you, other people. So C are the emotional consequences. I've taken the test now a second time and I still can't pass. And my emotional consequences based on my belief system is I think I am worthless. I think I'm the worst therapist ever. When my clients ask me questions, do I feel comfortable sharing? No, because I think I'm worthless. I think I wasted 6 years of tuition and I should have done something else. I don't know nothing at all. D is I'm going to come along and I'm going to dispute your belief system. You failed the test. Yes, you did. Can I change that? No, you failed the test. Facts are facts. You failed the test. But I'm going to remind you that you have lots of people that you work with that have lots of letters after their name. Alphabet soup after their name. I'm an LPC, I'm a CDC, I'm a blah, blah, blah after their name. Are they better therapists than you? Y'all know you got some people got all them letters after their name and you're like, who the hell gave them that degree? Amen. Come on. Yes. Yes. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you know the difference? They're better test takers than you are. I cannot change the fact that you didn't pass the test. I cannot change that. I can change the way that your belief system is, though. You're a great therapist. I will never make you a better therapist. I will make you a better test taker. So the D is dispute your irrational beliefs. Oh my gosh, I can never be a good therapist. I don't know anything, blah, blah, blah. Let it go. Let it go, but that's not true. But you are a lousy test taker. Facts. Does that help? Not you people. Nobody in this group. My other group that I tutor, because nobody in this group's ever thought that way, right? That's yeah, right. That's Ellis. The Ellis is you have irrational thoughts, irrational beliefs about what happened. The difference is the event happened. Something happened. Okay? We good? A, B, C, D, E of our ABT. Now, the other offshoot then is DBT. That's Marsha Linehan. She's still alive, by the way. She lives in Washington State. I think she's in her late 80s. If you want to go and take a class with her, she's still around. So tell me something about DBT.
So it's
Emotional regulation.
branched out from the CBT.
It's mindfulness.
Hold on.
sorry.
Vera was talking so softly.
I'm
Let's
sorry.
let Vera finish. Vera, I need you to put on your big old voice. Well, according to Marsha Linehan, go ahead.
So according to Marsha Linehan, it's a dialectical behavior therapy, DBT. And it also deals, like CBT deals with the thinking, patterns of thinking and behavior that comes out of the way people think, except in dialectical part, which means kind of contradictional. The both parts being married, it's like acceptance and change. For example, if the person admits that, yeah, I am a drug addict, but I am ready to do something about it. So, and so
Can
it
I stop
acceptance
you?
and change.
Can I
Sure.
stop you right there?
Yeah.
You are absolutely right, but not a test question.
Okay.
Okay. So what I think you did was bring in how you use it in your practice.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you're absolutely right. You're so right. That is just not the way the test is going to ask it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the difference between CBT and CBT and DBT is where we start. CBT is we start with the thoughts. You got some stankin' thinking. Change your thoughts, change your feelings, change your behavior. DBT starts the opposite way. It was written for borderlines, people that are very hot and cold. We go back to Margaret Mailer said that you're DBT because you didn't have you weren't able to learn a secure base. You didn't have the same caregiver for the first 3 years of your life. Object relations theory. So now she says you're a hot mess because you didn't have the same caregiver. Am I sharing? Okay. So DBT goes the opposite way. Behavior, feelings, thoughts. Okay. Acceptance is so right. That's just not going to be a test question. Okay. I only teach to the test. My only goal is to help you get this sheet of paper. So what she says, these are the 4 tenets of DBT. It was written for borderlines, but we use it for others, right? So mindfulness, anybody got that calm app on their watch? You're supposed to stop and be calm for a minute. How's it working for you?
I do the like the 3-minute meditation or the 5-minute meditation. It works.
Okay. And is it planned for you? I ignore mine too, but go ahead. So Tasha, go ahead.
Sometimes I have difficult clients and I have to remember I guess I have to remember the clientele that I'm servicing. So I have to, and in between, like I have a client I had to take to the probation office. So when she got out of the car, actually, I turned on my app and just grounded myself and came back because I was like up here with. So that's why I say it works. And especially
that's definitely better than stopping by the bar. I'm just gonna say that's a much better choice.
Yeah, actually, yes, because that's kind of what I want to do.
Yeah. Okay. So so these are the 4 tenets of DBT. The test question again may say, because it really was written for borderlines. It's the only personality disorder that has a treatment. Personality disorders are ingrained, right? And there's no treatment until DBT came along. So that's what it was written for, but it's used for others. It's used for kids who don't know how to maintain emotions. Okay. So mindfulness is just being aware of the moment. I'm going to come back to mindfulness. Emotional regulation is learning that my emotions, I dictate my emotions, they don't dictate me. When my girls were little, I taught them that your mood does not dictate your manners. I don't care how you feel. We're going to act like we have some sense in this house. Okay. I control my emotions, understanding and reducing vulnerability to emotions and changing the emotions. I own my emotions. Yes, I may feel sad and I feel angry, but I still am in control of my emotions. Distress tolerance. What we know is our borderlines when they're distressed. Oh my God, I caught him talking to another girl and I went out and slashed his tires. Right? Very black, very white. There's no gray in between. So when you're feeling distressed, we can sit with that emotion. We don't have to make it worse by doing something. And of course, interpersonal effectiveness. When it talks about INTER, what does that always mean?
Between people.
Between.
Cindy? Come on, Cindy, come on.
It means two. Always means
At least two, right?
Yep, because your video about intra-course stuck in my head.
Intercourse. Intracourse is by myself, and that's a different word. When I have intracourse, that is none of your business. But intercourse, and normally what I say, I don't care what uglies you bump. I don't care what uglies you bump, and I could care less. But it takes at least two people. So if you remember, INTER means more than one person. So learning to get along with other people. Okay. Intrapsychic, INTRA, is a Freudian term. That's inside of me, intrapsychic. Okay. So interpersonal means getting along with other people. Our borderlines don't know how to do that. Whenever you see the question, I've had 5 therapists before you and you're the very best one, run, right? That's a borderline. Okay. So those terminology means that's where it's coming from. Okay. So mindfulness, emotional regulation, distress tolerance, interpersonal. That's what I'm looking for. I want to remind you, though, that mindfulness, while, again, she likes to pretend that she owns it, she doesn't, and it has its own theory. If you look in the Hellwig book, mindfulness really focuses on just learning to be in the moment. Okay, not good or bad. If you watch my old videos, I talk about when I took the test 1,000 years ago and the dinosaurs roamed the land. I went to the one-room college. Okay. When I took the test, one of the things that I wanted to remember, and for me, mindfulness is gratitude. My mind doesn't stop enough I just can't. I can't. I'm aware that I can't, but I can turn it to gratitude. And what I say to all of you is when you get in that room, when you go to the test, for me, the first thing I did, pencil and paper test, by the way, only one test in the state of Florida, only one city, had to drive hours. It was, yeah, my blah, blah, blah. The first thing I did when I got in the room was to be thankful for being in the room. And it was long before I was teaching. I was brand new out of college. I'm all of like 24 years old thinking I know everything. But I just needed to own the fact that there were times in undergrad and grad school that I wasn't sure that I was going to make it to the room. There were times that I wasn't sure if I was going to pass the class. We didn't have online classes. We had to drive to school for graduate school, driving 3 and 4 hours. There were times that I didn't even know that I was going to make it. So I clearly remember sitting in that room with my 2 number 2 pencils and my 2 forms of ID. And we had the bubble in form, and looking around the room and just remembering to be grateful that I was in the room. That's mindfulness. Come what may, I don't know what the next 15 minutes, next hour is going to bring, but for this moment, I'm going to enjoy this moment without any judgment. I was in the room. So that was a very big deal for me, a very big deal for me. And that was long before I ever got that some people don't pass the test. Long time ago. Some of you weren't even born then, okay? But that's the importance of learning to enjoy the moments without judgment. Okay. Okay, I need to get to some DSM questions because I've spent the whole time teaching theories, which are the most important things, but let's get to some DSM questions. So my repeat offenders, that's how I refer to you because you've offended me by taking the test more than once. Tell me some DSM questions that you haven't seen. We're not going to get a lot. You're not expected to be an expert diagnostician. You're expected to know the basics. What have you seen on the test? Great. Thanks for sharing. Go ahead.
I remember a question but I can't remember the way it was worded. It had something to do with OCD.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, it might have been breaking down. I know it was something about OCD. So
is there a difference between OCD and OCPD?
Yes.
We're on a start then. Anybody want to be brave enough to share the difference?
OCD is ego dystonic. OCPD is ego syntonic. And one
that sounds totally from Dr. Pam's videos. Good job. But
yes,
keep talking.
it is.
Keep talking. You're right. You're right.
One is a personality disorder and it's ingrained in them. The other one is not a personality disorder and they're coming into treatment. So OCD, they're coming into treatment, has to do with their obsessions, compulsions, and they're coming in for probably exposure therapy. And then OCPD, you know, it's ingrained in them. They've always been that way. So they're not coming in for treatment.
They don't think they have a problem.
Right.
Absolutely. In that video, in most of my videos, I say 1 out of every 4 people in a group that I tutor are OCPD. 24 people, there are at least 6 of you that are perfectionists. But want to own their stuff, usually after I spend a couple of sessions with you, I can figure it out. If you made a B+ on a test, on a test, and you went back to your professor and asked what you could do to get an A. If I come into your house and either your kitchen, your bathroom, something is your kitchen, they're either ordered, they're lined up by expiration date, or your spices are in alphabetical order. In your refrigerator, things are lined up perfectly. When you hung pictures, you got out the leveler and you put the blue tape around it to make sure the picture was absolutely perfect. If I go into your closet, the shoes are in order, winter shoes, summer shoes, maybe by color, maybe your closet. You look like you're about to cry, Brittany. I'm not trying to diagnose you.
You already did.
She's calling me out.
Closet is color coded. You are absolutely right.
I'm not your therapist, Brittany. I'm not sure. She's like, okay. There normally in normal population, it's 1 in 4. In my group, it's usually closer to like 1 in half. So for the test, an OCPD person will turn their work in late and not understand why their boss is upset. It's perfect. Why is he upset? You don't see a problem with your life. The reason that OCPD people come to therapy is because their spouse wants to kill them. Okay, their significant other wants to choke them. So OCPD is you strive for perfection. But you've been that way since you were 3, 4, 5, or 6. If I ask your mother, she would tell you that you lined up your Barbies in the right way. You couldn't leave the house unless everything was in order. That is the personality disorder, right? You're not coming for therapy until your husband or wife threatens to leave you. Right, pretty much, okay? OCD is the disorder. Those are people you can tell because they have rituals, they have routines. They have to go back and check the stove 7 times. Obsessions are thoughts, and the thoughts take over. The compulsions are what relieve the thoughts. So my obsessions over and over again are my hands are dirty, my hands are dirty, my hands are dirty. That's the thought. The compulsion then is I have to go back and I have to wash my hands because that relieves the obsession. However, it interferes with my daily life. I'm going to come to therapy because it gets worse. The more anxious I get, the worse it gets. It's easily identified. And again, if I don't follow my routine, if I don't check the oven 7 times, my house could burn down and kill everybody in the house. Okay. Does that sound similar? I'm not going to ask you to, I know who it is, by the way. So OCPD and OCD, does that sound like some clients you've seen? Some family members? Some people that live in your house? I like that affect. Oh no, Dr. Pam, oh no. OCD people, that's anxiety disorder. So we're going to treat with medication and therapy. CBT, right? So because it's a mood disorder, an affective disorder, it's an anxiety disorder, CBT and meds is the best treatment. Anybody wants to be honest enough and say this is the first time you realized there was a difference?
I'm gonna be honest, Dr. Pam. I've never heard of the second one before, so I'm lost. I mean, I get what you're saying, but all I knew honestly was OCD. I'm not gonna lie, I'm being honest. So
I wrote the DSM.
I don't remember them telling me about that when I was at Capella. So, and I love the DSM in the decision tree, but I don't remember that. So
I wrote the DSM. I just added it in as I went along. I swear they're real. So for the my 5-letter exam and for my clinical social workers, there's not a lot of personality disorders on your test. So I don't spend a lot of time teaching that. But for my other orientations, I teach personality disorders. And they come in, personality. They come in clusters. So again, personality disorders are egocentric. They're in sync with who you are. So you're not coming for therapy. And has anyone ever seen a question on the clusters on your test?
No.
So I don't teach it for this test. But I swear I still didn't make it up just because I don't teach it. I just made, okay. So what we have
NCM HCE and obsessive, the difference between obsessions and compulsions was a question.
Are you taking that one?
I'm taking the NCM HCE.
Yes, then you need to know it. Differential diagnosis, you definitely need to know it. That is so very high in knowing your diagnosis. Yes, you need to know that. Okay. So my personality disorders are ingrained. I'm not coming for therapy. So my cluster A are my odd and eccentric. Okay. My paranoid, my schizoids, and my schizotypals. Paranoids are not psychotic. None of these have hallucinations or delusions. No. So the paranoid is they're sure someone's out to get me. My wife is sleeping with the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. No proof of it, but it's true. My schizoids versus my schizotypals. Anybody know that one?
One of them has to do, it's like related to like bipolar disorder, and like mood disorders.
No.
Schizotypical?
No, none of them. That's schizoaffective disorder.
Oh, okay.
Isn't one where they befriend you, want to invite you over for dinner, and then chop you up and kill you?
Oh, those are my antisocials.
Oh, I'm sorry. I remember that.
You're in the game. You're in the game.
I'm sorry,
I
Dr.
swear,
Pam.
you did not bring a football to the baseball game. You are in the game. Okay. So
she invited us all over for dinner in Chattanooga.
Oh, did I mention that? That's why you get to come. And
I remember. Okay, one is antisocial, like they want to pretend.
No, hold on. That's cluster B. Okay. Schizoids avoid people totally. Okay. You all grew up with one. That was the boogeyman's house. The grass was this tall. We never knew if anybody lived there. You definitely weren't going to sell no Girl Scout cookies to them. So that's the house that you were afraid of. Schizoids, voluntary social withdrawal and limited social expression. They don't want anything to do with anybody, not even the fish. Right. So usually growing up in some neighborhood, that was where the scary woman lived. And everybody just stayed away. Okay. Schizotypals are typically more like a schizophrenic. They will talk to you, but you will be so sorry they did. They're typically more like the schizophrenic. So they're going to have odd and eccentric behavior. This says, always keep some toast in your pocket. Okay. The person that I bought my house from, I am pretty sure was a schizoid. I bought my house in 2022. When I bought the house, the neighbors thought it was empty. He lived here. They just never saw him. And the only time I actually saw him was at the closing. And it was the most uncomfortable thing ever. All he wanted to know is, when can I get my check and leave? And you know, if you've ever closed your wedding, all these papers have to be signed, and we're talking. And I'm just like, so, you know, you bought a new house. Like, where are you living? Up north. So, you know, did you enjoy the neighborhood? It was fine. Talking to me was the most painful thing in his life. So, in the beginning, I thought that was strange. That's strange. But then when I moved in, they're like, oh, we thought he had gone a long time ago. The ivy had grown up on the house that you could not see the street from the front of the door. He just avoided people. He just didn't like people. Schizotypals are the kids you went to school with, and he was weird, and everybody knew he was weird. He dressed weird. We made fun of him. Schizotypal. We don't diagnose personality disorders until you're 18. Okay.
Dr. Pam, how can you tell the difference between that and somebody who's just intensely like to isolate? They just don't like to be around people. How can you tell between the two?
Real life or test answer?
Test answers. I don't care about real life.
People that the grass is grown up and they never talk to anybody are schizoids. They're not coming for therapy. They don't have a problem. You know, they're not just, you know, there are people that are more introverts, right? And don't necessarily talk to lots of people, but someone who is a total schizoid, you know, they would rather die than talk to you.
Because you know how some people are saying, I'm alone and I like to be by myself. I'm just trying to
You're in this group.
differentiate
You're
between
not a
the
schizoid.
two.
But you're in the group. You're not a schizoid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe not. My cluster B are my antisocial, borderline, histrionic, and narcissists. Narcissists for the test are always going to be men, right? They think they're God's gift to this earth. Look at me, I'm the best thing on this earth. Histrionics are going to be girls for the test. Histrionics, what I say always, if you don't have a girlfriend that wears the short skirt and clacks her nails and says, look at me, big earrings. If you don't know who it is in your girlfriend group, it might be you. Histrionics are my attention seekers. Got the 6-inch heels and, you know, the really long nails. Okay. Right. They all done differently. Yeah. Hide your hands. I'm talking about you. You got your big old earrings on, right? You wearing a little bit of short skirt. Y'all just going to McDonald's. Okay. Again, in our girlfriend group, that gets, okay, back in the day, that got us in the club. I went to school in Miami, right? So you got a histrionic friend, you got to wait in line too long. So very much attention seeking. Okay. Do you remember Jessica Rabbit? If you're not old enough to remember. Very sultry. Okay. Very sultry. And look at me. She said, it's not my fault. They drew me this way.
Yeah.
They drew me this way. It's not my fault. Oh, Roger, can we get a piece of bread? Those are my histrionics. Okay. My antisocial. So that's the one that we most have an issue with. And you were explaining that to me. I think that was you, Farah. Yes, was that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So tell me, I start off as a conduct and I end up as a histrionic. I end up as an antisocial. What's that?
You want to just repeat what I said?
I do. I just need to be in the right order. Not that I'm OCD. I just need to make sure everybody understands.
No, it's okay. No. So it's where you befriend your next door neighbor, you make friends with them, you invite them over for dinner, they kill them and chop them up and have them for dessert.
Basically, yeah. Okay. So
they act like they're approachable and friendly.
They are.
Till you're dead.
Oh, well. So conduct disorders. So we look at childhood disorders, right? So so conduct versus ODD. Could somebody go there with me?
Conduct has problems with the law.
Okay. And
ODD doesn't.
Okay. Anything else?
One turns into the other as they grow up.
Okay. But at this point, I don't know, right? I'm just trying to, as I've got a kid in front of me and I'm trying to diagnose my kid. Remember, what I'm always looking for is I have to see the behavior across different environments. So if a kid is acting up at school, but they're not at home, then that's still just that doesn't give me enough to diagnose them either way. I just want my image.
Dr. Pam, I just have a question about that because I work through 988 and I get a lot of calls from parents, their kids in crisis, and a lot of them are diagnosed with ODD. And I worked for the school system for almost 6 years. And I mean, I didn't know, at the time I was still in school, but I'm just amazed to know how so many kids are actually diagnosed with that. But I know I'm about to get some more understanding now, but I've noticed I get a lot of that lately.
So ODD is oppositional defiant disorder. Those are just bad kids. They don't want to they don't want to listen to their parents. They don't want to listen to the teacher. They're defiant. They're going to break the rules. Okay, characterized by angry or irritable mood, argumentative, defiant, or vindictive. So at least 6 months of the behavior. Severity is based on according to the number of settings, but remember it has to happen in more than one setting. That's the kid that the teacher says, I need you to do your homework, and he throws a chair across the room. ODD kids are remorseful. Okay. Conduct disorder kids are not. And who said that? Was that you, Mariana? Or Ane? I'm not sure who said that. So conduct disorder, thank you. So conduct disorder kids, you might see some of the same behaviors, but the question is going to make it very clear that at some point they've broken the law. They're the bullies. They're stealing other people's lunch money. They've set fire to something. And the issue is they don't have any remorse. They just don't get it. Okay. So at least 12 months of the duration. And again, based on frequency. We don't have to get into all of they're not going to ask you all of the details. The question is going to say something of how I know the difference, something about they've broken the law. Okay. So a conduct disorder, I can diagnose at 6, and ODD, I can diagnose at 5. Okay. So ODD kids are bad kids. They're just bad kids. Conduct disorders are breaking the law. They're intentionally hurting people without remorse. In one of my videos, I talked to you about I had a friend and our kids were 4, went to the gym together, and her daughter taught my daughter how to pinch the babies to make them cry. They're both 4. Yeah, we stopped hanging out with them. Okay. So can't diagnose her yet, but most little kids, especially strange babies, these were like at the gym. They're the daycare at the gym. And yeah, just if you pinch them, they'll cry. That is conduct disorder. Conduct disorders, untreated, lead to my antisocials. Have no remorse, take no ownership for what they've done. Most of my pedophiles are antisocials. She was 6. She was wearing a bikini at 6. It's her fault. She wanted me. No ownership for what I've done. Treating conduct disorders is like when you treat most kids, you tell them you don't do that. That hurts the doggy. Right? You don't do that. That hurts the doggy. So kids that have not learned that affect, that feeling, those are my conduct disorders. It says affective oriented risk disorder. That's my mood. I don't get that my behavior, I don't take ownership of my behavior, and I don't get that it hurts somebody. Okay. You'll see a couple of questions on ADD as well. Adult ADD, what does that look like? Just watch me clean my house on days that I haven't had meds. It's so much fun. Okay. So most of my clients are smart as I'll get out. ADHD people are usually auditory processors and smart because we learn by hearing. We can't always complete the task, but we're usually pretty smart. And general, so it used to be called ADD and ADHD. Now we talk about ADHD and subtypes. So most of my girls were ADHD inattentive. You didn't get in trouble in school because you usually made A's, but you were doodling. Oh, Pam loves Bobby. Pam and Bobby sit in a tree, KISSING, right? Looking out the window, but you still got the good grades. So you usually didn't get in trouble because no one noticed. So ADHD has more to do with my ability to focus and to concentrate. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder. Neurodevelopmental disorders are as my brain develops, and neurocognitive disorders is as my brain is already developed. ADHD, Down's syndrome, cerebral palsy, all of those things happened either in utero or as I was growing up. Neurocognitive disorders, and now that I'm a grown adult and I've had some kind of trauma or something that now my cognitions, the way that I think, is not working. Alzheimer's, dementia are neurocognitive disorders. Piaget talks about that you can have a neurocognitive event and go back down to the concrete stage. Remember that formal stage is when you can use inferential reasoning, right? But something can happen that now I can't do that. I'm very basic. The concrete stage means I can't interpret a parable. If you ask me, a rolling stone gathers no moss, I can't tell you what that means. I might have had it at some point, but I don't have it anymore. So ADHD is definitely a neurodevelopmental disorder. Okay. Hyperactivity.
Dr. Pam, how does ADHD look different in adult versus a child?
It does.
I have a friend, she got diagnosed with ADHD 2 weeks ago, and I didn't know you could diagnose an adult with ADHD.
Girl, I started my medication about 10 years ago, and I'm 50.
I started mine 3 months ago.
I did not know there was such a thing for adults. I thought it was a child diagnosis.
So you have to have the behavior before the age of 12. But most often with girls, we didn't get diagnosed because we weren't causing any problems. The hyperactivity is what causes the problem, right? Like my son, I could not, I would say, honey,
I need you to go to your room and pick up your socks, bring both socks back, and let's get dressed. He just couldn't. He just couldn't. Boys got an engineering degree, man, engineering degree, IQ off the chain. Just couldn't. Okay. When our first sign, and you know, mom's a therapist, but you know, you're trying to not be a therapist. When he was in karate classes. In karate classes, they had to exchange gifts. He was probably 4 or 5. And one of his friends in karate got one of those Lego sets with like 5,000 pieces. And he didn't want it. And my son said, oh my gosh, I'll take it. And he had made this thing in like 15 minutes. Like, whoa, okay, there's something different about this kid. Could not pay attention for crap in school, but definitely had just thought differently. So the hyperactivity caused the problem.
Not isn't it 1 year in children and 2 years in adults?
No, not at all. Okay. The time frame is what matters, and having it across more than one area is what matters. So for an adult, and the adults that didn't get diagnosis are usually in my group. I will tell you when you're taking the test that you probably need to go see your doctor because you cannot focus. What it looks like before I started taking medication is I'd go to clean my house. I start off in the kitchen. I'm putting some cushion in the dishwasher. And then I realize, oh, there's a sock. Let me take the sock upstairs. I go upstairs to the bedroom. I see the sock. And then I'm thinking, well, let me start folding the clothes because I've got a sock in here and I'm folding the clothes. And then I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Maybe I should go ahead and start dinner for next week. So then I'm going to the garage to the freezer to get something out of the freezer so I can go ahead and prepare for dinner. And I've totally forgot what I was doing totally. What it looks like in real life. Okay. Honestly, I've always done, it was hard for me. I've always known. Most of us, you don't outgrow it. You don't outgrow it. You learn to live with it. People who are in fast-paced jobs, emergency room people, lawyers, car salesmen are usually ADHD. We like the energy. We feed off the energy. So I've always known that was me. But when I went to get back to get my PhD, and I could not sit down and read. I couldn't. Okay. And I'm like, okay. I'm smart as all get out, but I could not sit down to focus. That was when I first started taking medicine because I just couldn't. So again, the behavior was always there. I just wasn't diagnosed because I wasn't a problem. If we go back, and it's very much genetic, my brother, who's, okay, we're old, I'm 60, almost 60. My brother, when we went to the store, he had to go sit in the car. Back then, nobody stole children. Okay, it was okay. He spent half his life in the car because he couldn't behave in the store. He'd be swinging on the lines where the clothes were hanging. He'd be running around. So working with my therapist and looking at my family history, it's like, well, your whole family was, Pam, and your son. Duh. Okay. So just recognizing what that behavior looks like. My students know and have always known, don't you send me a long email. I got the first line and the last line. Everything else in between is gobbledygook. My staff knows, I need you, first of all, I'm an auditory processor. I need you to tell me in like 10, 20 minutes or less. After that, I'm lost. I just can't. Okay. So ADHD continues to adulthood. You have difficulty waiting in line. Sometimes you have poor self-worth, sensitive to criticism, relationship troubles, memory issues, easily angered. Okay. So you just are impulsive. Even if you're the attention deficit type, you're impulsive. Anybody done some shopping at midnight on Amazon? Just saying. Because your medication wears off, right? But so by then, I strongly recommend that if you see you in ADD, to take this test that you ask for extra time. You ask for the private room because most of us are auditory processors. We like to talk out loud. We learn by hearing ourselves talk. And I needed the private room because I cannot sit still for 4 hours. That's not possible. Even when I teach, you'll see me, I've got it, my desk raises, I'll raise and lower my desk. I can't, and I just can't. And as an adult, I know that now. Okay. But again, if you find yourself struggling, you really, really need to just address it. Okay. So that's ADD in kids, ADD and adults. That's usually a test question. I'll show you what it looks like on a test question. But most often what I'm looking for is across behaviors, across situations, not just in one situation. Somebody mentioned when I was talking about affective disorder, and I talked about schizoid and schizotypal, someone mentioned something about the mood. That is schizoaffective disorder. Do we know what that means?
Yes.
When they have depressive
Go
symptoms. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, get more.
And it's a combination of their mood as well.
Okay, so when they have what, I missed the first part. I just missed it.
When they have depressive symptoms.
Okay. Not usually. Usually I'm going to get the schizoaffective disorder when I'm bipolar and I have the high. Mm-hmm. So when I haven't slept for days, sometimes people pronounce it schizoaffective. So schizophrenic, affect, we talked about mood. Okay. If you've watched any of my videos, I will tell you that the only time I have ever seen this diagnosed is always going to be in some sort of institution. It's going to be in a prison or some kind of hospital, most often a residential facility. If you have people that have that diagnosis that come in with it, I implore you to figure out where it came from. In the real world, most often we get diagnosed with bipolar 1 with psychotic features. So schizoaffective disorder only takes 2 weeks. So what it looks like is I haven't slept, I've got a full-blown manic episode, and with that manic episode, then I begin to hallucinate and have hallucinations and delusions. I've never, ever, ever, and I've been doing this for 30 some years, I've not seen it diagnosed in a private practice. Okay. So it is 2 weeks of having that manic episode. And then when I'm in that manic episode where I think I am God's gift to this earth, I begin to hallucinate. The prevalence of schizoaffective disorder in the population is believed to be around 3%. Tiny. Because again, the only time we see it is really, has anybody seen the diagnosis, may work with the diagnosis? Here's my theory. That's not a test question. It's Dr. Pam's personal theory. Is if I am in a residential facility, I'm in a mental health institution, I'm in a prison, I can treat you with both a heavy-duty antipsychotic as well as treating you with lithium. You are so medicated that you are not in danger of hurting yourself or anybody else.
Dr. Pam.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me the difference between the schizoaffective disorder and a bipolar 1 person who is having a manic episode with psychotic features?
Can you hold on to that question? That's where I'm going next.
Okay.
Yes, I can. Absolutely. Okay. So for the test, schizoaffective disorder is, again, I've got a combination of both the schizophrenia and a mood disorder. an affective disorder, AFFECTIVE. Okay. So that's the one. Again, if it's a schizoaffective disorder, then I'm going to use, once I'm stable, I would use CBT and meds. Okay, because that's schizoaffective. That is not on the spectrum of schizophrenia. With schizophrenia, we have the spectrum. We start off with bipolar, with brief psychotic disorder, right? How long is brief psychotic disorder?
Three to 30 days.
3 days to 30 days. Absolutely. So when it comes to schizophrenia, we know that there is no treatment. There's no going back. We don't actually know what causes schizophrenia. We definitely believe that there is a genetic piece. Anybody work with anybody schizophrenic? No? So for the test, remember that their support is all we can do. Okay, so there's really not any talk therapy that's going to work with schizophrenia. You have to have both the delusions and the hallucinations. What's the difference between delusions and hallucinations?
Schizophrenia.
Go ahead.
I work with people who have schizophrenia.
And what's that like?
What's that mean? Their thoughts are kind of all over the place, and their mood swings are up and down, and it's the group I tried to do the CBT on today.
Okay. So for the test, we would not have a schizophrenic in group because they only would benefit from supportive therapy. So if I've already got, 5 or 6 voices in my head, I do not need any more. So that's the thought for the test. Okay. So schizophrenics have both positive and negative symptoms. Hallucinations, all 5 of my senses can hallucinate. I can see things, I can smell things, I can taste things, I can hear things, and I can feel things. Okay, all 5 of my senses can hallucinate. There are bugs crawling on my skin. When I go to, I'm pretty sure they're trying to poison my food no matter where I go. We're looking across environments, right? So that is what it looks like with my hallucinations. Delusions are the thoughts. I think it's taken down now, but there used to be a video on how much Barack Obama loves me. He still loves me, by the way. But that is a delusion. The delusions are my thoughts. So that's when specifically is our erotomania, when you think someone famous is in love with you. He is, by the way, that hasn't changed just because I don't talk about it. He still loves me. And you remember, you cannot ever question anybody in their delusions, right? You got to stick with me because I believe it to be true. That's definitely my delusion. Hallucinations and delusions, we never question them. Supportive therapy is what we do. Right? And I think maybe I didn't mention, but the positive things are things I shouldn't have: delusions, hallucinations, disorganized speech. My affect is the look on my face, a flattened affect, reduced speech, and no initiative. That's called avolition, lack of energy. I don't want to do anything. Okay. So with schizophrenia, the spectrum is brief psychotic. And somebody said that. How long is that again?
3 days to a month.
3 days to 30 days. And on the 31st day, it becomes what?
Schizophreniform.
Schizophreniform.
Got it. A form of schizophrenia. We do not want to diagnose a full-blown schizophrenia until 6 months. Okay. You work with people all day, every day that just met someone and diagnosed them with schizophrenia. Wrong, unethical, but insurance pays well. Just saying, okay? So schizophrenia, we do it all the time, unethical, but it's 6 months. We start at the age of 15 and go to about the age of 35. If you have your first psychotic episode after the age of 45, it's less likely that you're going to have another incident. We get the question like a 15-year-old who's dancing naked in the fountain, and the mother and the school calls and says, can you please come get your kid? Okay, because somebody told her to dance naked in the fountain. Bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. What's the difference?
Into some of the most one is the most serious one.
Yeah.
Roxanne, what's the difference?
I'm not sure. I would assume the one is more severe than the other, but I can't explain what that is.
Is your background real?
That's my future. It's my
I was going to
inspiration.
say, that is exactly what my life would look like if I had the option. I swear, all the pink, oh my gosh, I love it.
This is my inspiration to pass my test.
I like that. I'm just going to say, I like that. If you come to my home one day and you see that, just pretend like I didn't steal it from you, okay? Because I love it. Okay, Cindy, bipolar 1, bipolar 2. Tell me what the difference is.
Bipolar 1 must have a manic episode. Bipolar 1 is hypomania.
Holy textbook, give me more.
And then they have.
What does bipolar 1 look like?
Bipolar 1 has at least one.
I'm sleeping with anybody.
I didn't ask self-disclosure here.
Not me. I'm talking about.
No. We just. Does your husband know that? Yes, that is one of the symptoms of bipolar 1. Hypersexuality. Absolutely.
With bipolar 1, do you have to have an episode for 5 days?
A minimum of 5 days. A minimum. Okay. Normally what I say is, can you say Kanye West? Okay, if we go back to a couple of years ago when he said people chose to be slaves and F the Jews, and he didn't need Nike because he was on this full-blown high episode.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was feeling good. Look at me, grandiosity. Okay. So in the manic episode, which can last a minimum of 5 days, it can last much, much longer. Did anybody ever watch the show Shameless? I'm going to say that quietly because it was an awful show. It was so awful.
So awful, but it's so good.
So Shameless, anyway, Google it. But the mother was bipolar. And what would happen is she would come and go in the family. She was married to the husband. She'd been married to somebody else. She was gay for a minute. There was an episode where she came back home and she decided that she was going to remodel the kitchen. And she takes a sledgehammer and she takes out the entire kitchen and does all these things and then goes to sleep and then got out of bed for a week. And her son ends up having the same thing. So bipolar 1, the higher the high, the lower the lows. So for the test, I have to have at least one episode of major depression. Major depression is 2 weeks. Can't get out of bed, suicidal, having suicidal thoughts. Okay. What happens is then I go to the doctor, I end the checkup because I'm having suicidal thoughts. They put me on many times a medication and my mood goes up and up and up and up and up. So for at least a week, many times much longer, I think I'm invincible. I think I can do whatever I want to do. I shop, I spend money that I don't have. I sleep with people that I wouldn't normally sleep with. I'm grandiosity. But when I crash, then I can't get out of bed. I'm done. Okay, so bipolar 1. So what happened though, so in the bipolar 1 manic stage, when I haven't slept for 2 weeks, I can have a psychotic episode. I haven't slept. Of course I can have a psychotic episode. Okay, so that's what we normally see. That's not a test question. For the test, it's going to be schizoaffective disorder. I just like to share my personal belief with you as you go through your practice and see where schizoaffective disorder comes from. Okay, so bipolar 1 with manic episodes is common in private practice. Okay, bipolar 2 also starts off with 2 weeks of major depression. What happens though is my mood lifts, but it doesn't go all the way up to a full-blown manic episode. It goes to a hypo, H-Y-P-O, which means less than. Okay, I'm never going to have a full-blown bipolar 1. So for the NCE, what you might see is people may not notice. For the 5-letter exam and in doing a differential diagnosis, the people who know you will notice. So every so often, I've got a friend and she calls me at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Pam, I was just up. Just want to know if you want to talk, blah, 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 blah. Not enough to affect her world, not enough to lose her job, but she's got hypomania that every so often she needs less and less sleep. Okay, so that's the bipolar 2. You'll see cyclothymia, which is the one that I have the ups and downs, but it doesn't meet the criteria for bipolar 1 or bipolar 2. That's the one that you see that's 2 years in adults and 1 year in children. Okay. The other one used to be called dysthymia. And what do we call it now?
Persistent
depressive disorder. Absolutely. So if my major depression continues, then it turns into persistent depressive disorder. The same thing, 2 years in adults, 1 year in children. Okay. Okay, I'm going to pull up some questions. Can you think of any other? So the NCE is not known for lots of DSM questions. It's just not known for that. You get a 3 or 4, maybe. Can you think of anything that I didn't cover when it comes to diagnosing on that test?
Can you talk a little bit about dependent personality?
Dependent personality is the 45-year-old man that still lives at home because he doesn't have enough self-esteem to make his own decisions. That was in cluster 3, and you're right, I did not go over that. In cluster 3, also in that are my avoidant personality disorder. My avoidant personality disorder are people that avoid social events. I have a friend, I cruise, I love to cruise. I am the only, okay, I'm one of the few people of color that has no rhythm at all. Okay, when I'm doing line dancing, I'm counting in my head, right? Like left, right, kick, like turn around. I don't have the rhythm. I own it. I own it. Okay. My friend won't dance with me because he's so sure that somebody somewhere is going to find have a camera, and they're going to find him and when he can't dance, and it's going to become virtual. So he avoids social settings because he's so sure that someone somewhere is going to make fun of him. That's what that looks like.
How does that look like with a female patient?
Same thing. Same thing.
Okay, thank you.
I'll give you a study guide, but I want to just pull up some questions in general. Okay, so again, anything that I haven't covered, you're not going to see a lot of those. You're just not. The ones on the TR. Go ahead.
So the only ones that's 1 year in children and 2 years in adult are
There's two of them.
Mood disorders, right?
Exactly. Most everybody, despite what I say, continues to do pocket prep. Can you recall what you're seeing on those pocket prep questions?
I don't have it.
I'm a fan of pocket prep. I don't want you to ever think that I'm not. I just want you to remember that if you're using it and getting better, it doesn't mean that you're learning more. It just means that you've seen the questions over and over again.
I pulled up one, Dr. Pam.
Go ahead.
Because I do have the app, and it's actually that I missed. It says, how is delirium classified in the DSM-5?
So let's talk about delirium because I want to understand the question first. Okay. So what is delirium?
A state of confusion. You want me to read it from here?
No, I just want to, what can you tell me in your own words? You know what delirium is?
No, as where I was going with this, a state of confusion.
Okay. So does delirium mean that I have dementia?
No.
Okay. So my son had an allergic reaction to phenergan.
Mm-hmm.
And he woke up in the middle of the night not knowing where he was.
Mm-hmm.
That's delirium.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
I've seen that.
So does that make sense? So it's not necessarily it's not necessarily cause. It doesn't mean, it can mean lots of things. It just means I need to ask more questions.
Okay, so changing
Okay.
standards, and it can't be because of medication.
Okay, so now read my 4 choices.
A neurocognitive disorder, a neurodevelopment disorder, a psychotic disorder, and as a dissociative disorder.
Okay.
And what I selected was a psychotic disorder, and it was wrong.
Okay, so my son wasn't having psychosis. He had an allergic reaction to the
medicine. So keep
The
going.
answer, you want me to tell you which one was the answer?
I want you to tell me how you got there. I don't care if you got it right. I want to tell me how you got there.
So initially I was thinking delirium and I was thinking psychotic.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the way you just broke it down took me back to actually 2 people who had a reaction to medication. And that they didn't necessarily know where they were. And for lack of better words, I talking out of the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I know is
delirium can be caused by a drop of potassium.
Gotcha.
It can be caused by not having enough water. There are so many things that can cause it. So I'm not sure that that's going to be a major diagnosis.
Okay.
Okay. So what of the 4, what's the best answer?
A neurocognitive disorder.
So what does that mean? We talked about neurodevelopmental versus neurocognitive.
Yeah.
So neurodevelopmental means there was some change in my thinking pattern. Something happened in my brain. My cognitions weren't working. My thoughts weren't working.
Okay.
Okay. Make sense?
It does.
So the goal is, again, to understand the question first. If you're using questions as study guides and you don't know what delirium is, you need to go back and learn what delirium is first. You can't answer a question if you don't know what it's asking you. Okay, let's do a couple of questions. I will take volunteers. We're going to do probably another 15, 20 minutes. So just volunteer. Who wants this one?
Oh, can I get that one?
Oh, you can.
A client is referred to the social worker after being discharged from the psychiatric hospital. The records indicate that he has been hearing voices for the past 4 months and believes he is being followed. According to DSM-5 criteria, the most likely diagnosis for the client is a brief psychotic.
Stay in my question. Remember, always, we stay in the question first. What is it asking me?
So that the client has been hearing voices for the past 4 months and he believes he's being followed.
Got it.
I believe
So, what's important in that question?
the important is that he's hearing voice for the past 4 months
Gotta mute yourself.
and that he's being followed.
Okay. So that's the key of the question, right? It's been 4 months. After he got discharged and he still thinks he's being followed. Okay. That's the key.
So I would take out A.
Okay. Because
it hasn't been brief. It's not like brief psychotic disorder.
brief is how long?
I'm gonna say 2 weeks, around that range.
No. Brief is 3 days to 30 days.
Okay. 3 to 30.
Okay. So that's the key. Remember, those time frames matter. Brief psychotic disorder is 3 days to 30 days. And the question says it's been 4 months. That's what I'm always going to tell you, to spend more time in the question. Okay.
I would also take out schizoaffective. That's the one that has to do with moods, right?
Absolutely. It doesn't say he's got a full-blown mood disorder at all. So now you're between B and D.
I want to say B, schizophrenia.
No, you don't.
Oh, no.
How come? Somebody tell me what's wrong with that one.
It's not
6 months.
more than 6 months, but for schizophrenic form, it would have to be between 1 and 6 months.
Say that again. So schizophrenic form is
1 to 6 months.
absolutely. So my answer is
D.
Schizophrenic form. So remember, in reading the question is how I figured that out. It's a reading test. I know. It's a reading test. Stay in the question. Know what they're asking me. Okay. So as smart as you are, Anae, you didn't pay attention to the clues in the question. You're not the only one. Okay. Volunteers, come on down. You're the next contestant. I don't want to pass my test.
I'll give it a try.
Only if you want to pass. I don't. It's up to you. I'm good.
I want to pass. I've never
Then
tried,
take a
but I'm going to try.
question. Go ahead. Take a
A
question.
5-year-old girl is referred to services at a community mental health center by her preschool. She has been in 3 foster homes since her mother was incarcerated when she was 2 years old. During the preschool observation, the social worker observed that the child is emotionally withdrawn. shows no positive affect, and when she get upset, she does not seek or respond to comfort from the teachers. What diagnosis should the therapist consider in this case?
Let's say in my question, what's happening in the question?
So we have a 5-year-old girl, and she is at a community center facility, a preschool facility. She's been at 3 different foster homes since her mom was in jail for the past 2 years. And the social workers, well, I guess working with her, been observing that she is emotionally withdrawn. So she's to herself. She doesn't, I guess she doesn't engage with others. She doesn't show any type of positive affect. When she get upset, she does not seek or respond to comfort. So I guess when she get upset, if the social worker trying to comfort her, she doesn't respond well to that. So what diagnosis should the therapist consider in this case? Post-traumatic stress disorder, adjustment disorder, major depressive disorder, or reactive attachment disorder. And we are going to remove C.
Major depressive disorder is how long?
6 months.
2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay. Not post-traumatic disorder, because it doesn't show me any symptoms that indicate that she's experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder.
How long does that? Acute stress disorder is 3 days to 30 days. Something happened and it's normal. I live in California and I lost my house in a fire. That's an acute stress disorder. 3 days to 30 days.
3 days to 30 days. Okay, so
post-traumatic stress is after the 30th day.
So we're gonna cross that out.
Okay.
So now we are between adjustment and reactive attachment. I want to remove reactive attachment, but I don't know why.
Well, I can't help you there. So stay in my question. Which can you prove?
I feel like it's adjustment disorder because her mom.
Back to my question.
Her mom went to jail. She's having a hard time basically adjusting to not having her mom around. She's withdrawn.
Okay, so this is the question is based on Margaret Mather's theory. Brittany, explain the question, please.
I was gonna, that's what I was thinking, because Margaret Mailer said if you have not attached to something in the first 3 years of your life, then you'll have attachment.
The same caregiver, the same
person for the first 3 years of your life, you'll have attachment issues. So her mom's been gone.
She's been in 3 foster homes since her mom was incarcerated since she was 2. And remember, Margaret Mailer says I need to have the same caregiver for the first 3 years of my life.
Oh, that makes sense. So the answer is D, reactive attachment.
Reactive attachment disorder. An adjustment disorder is 6 months. An adjustment disorder is I bought a new home. I got a new job. I got divorced. I'm adjusting. Okay. It's a reading test. When they go out of their way to tell you all of these things, those mean something. They didn't write it just because. Anybody stuck with that? You want to process that for a minute? If you get the fact that it's a reading test, that they're dropping all of these hints in there, you'll get the test. Whether it's DSM or anything else, you'll get it. You'll get it.
They're not trying to trick you. There are no evil gods out to get you. I promise you, they're not. They're not. They're not. Okay. This is just a recall question. Volunteers?
I'll go.
Thank you.
A therapist evaluates a 6-year-old girl with moderately severe cerebral palsy. Among other symptoms, the parents report that their daughter is often observed attempting to chew and eat non-food items, including sand and houseplants. Sometimes they are able to intervene while she is chewing on the item, but she has been hospitalized on one occasion for ingesting leaves from a potentially harmful plant. What is the most likely diagnosis in this case? So we're looking at a 6-year-old girl. She has moderately severe cerebral palsy. Among other,
Which is a neurodevelopmental disorder, by the way, right?
And then among other symptoms, parents have been kind of seeing her eat non-food items, so like sand and houseplants. And sometimes they're able to intervene while she is chewing on it. She has been hospitalized before on one occasion since she's been ingesting leaves, and it was a potentially harmful plant. We're looking at what kind of diagnosis is this mostly in this case. And
do you know the answer?
Yes.
What is it?
Pika.
Ding, ding, ding. Whenever I eat anything that's not food. Okay. Encopresis is pooping on yourself. We diagnose encopresis at 5. Okay. We diagnose enuresis. Encopresis, pooping at 4. Enuresis, peeing at 5. So children, we're not worried about them being potty trained, despite what your mom and them said, until 3. Okay. So 2-year-olds for the test and in real life don't have to be potty trained. 3 is when that they should be. So if you're 5 and we've rolled out all of the medical problems and you're still peeing on yourself, that's enuresis. Encopresis is pooping on yourself, and we diagnose that at 4. Right? You know, the autism spectrum disorder, and a rumination disorder is actually a eating disorder. You chew and chew and chew, and you may spit it out or regurgitate it before you can actually swallow. It's the grossest thing ever. That's not a test question, but it's so gross. That's, yes, a subjective opinion from a Girl Scout leader. Okay. Okay. Volunteers. Who wants to pass? You don't get to read the question first. Takesha, take this one.
Okay. All right. An 11-year-old boy, God is so small. An 11-year-old boy is referred to the school therapist for excessive truancy.
Better?
Thank you. An assessment with the boy's parents reveals several incarcerations at the Juvenile Detention Center for selling drugs, and the parents report a long-standing inability to limits or consequences with him. His teachers describe him as quiet and disinterested in school, although the therapist knows the boy has a reputation as a bully. What diagnosis is most likely? So we have an 11-year-old boy. He's referred to the school therapist because he's been absent a lot. And with an assessment with the boy's parents reveals that he's been in juvenile for selling drugs at 11 years old. So he's pretty bad. And the parents report a long-standing inability to enforce limits. So the parents do anything with him. His teachers describe him as quiet and disinterested in school. So he's quiet at school, although the therapist knows the boy has a reputation as a bully. What diagnosis is most likely?
He's
So we have, he's 11.
That
we have
matters. Okay.
We have A, oppositional defiant disorder, B, antisocial personality disorder, bipolar disorder, or D, conduct disorder.
Let's
Okay, so
rule out.
we're gonna take out B,
Because
antisocial.
he's not
is a-
old enough.
Yes, he's still a little kid.
Okay.
And then we're also gonna take out bipolar disorder.
I don't see any mood swings.
No, he's not up and down. He's pretty even keel, has a bad kid. And so we are left with oppositional defiant disorder and conduct disorder. So, okay, so we're gonna go with oppositional defiant disorder because he's not killing cats or trying to harm people as far as
Oh, go
conduct
back to
disorder.
the question. You missed
Oh, is
something.
it? Did I miss something? Okay,
You
did I miss
did,
something?
you
Okay.
did.
Oh, he's a bully. I forgot, I didn't see the bully part. Okay.
And he's also been, keep reading. They're giving me some
Juvenile.
hints. He's been
Oh,
incarcerated for selling drugs.
Okay, so we're gonna go with conduct disorder.
Okay, okay. Takesha,
Yes.
can we read all the words next time?
Yes. It's just so...
Okay, so I swear they're not trying to trick you.
Well, you know what I was looking for more for conduct disorder was far like kids. I mean, the therapist knows the boy's a bully, but I don't see where like he's not, you know, a defiant at school or not like attacking, you know, the principal or his teacher.
All he
So I was
had
looking
to do
for more
was
badness.
break the law.
Okay, break the
Okay,
law.
conduct disorders have broken the law. That's one of the keys. Okay. Everybody good with that? Anybody else get confused on that question? Lawanda, do you want this question? I think you've been quiet tonight, but you hung out with me. So I think you're like, oh, Dr. Pam, I so want to learn, but I'm kind of anxious.
I can give it a try.
Very good.
Okay, during an assessment, a therapist in a medical clinic finds that a patient has a decrease in libido, difficulty sleeping, and feelings of hopelessness for the last month. The most likely diagnosis in this case is... So I would like to rule out A, female sexual interest arousal disorder.
Okay. Can I stay in my question for a moment?
Yes.
So tell me more about the question.
So as far as the symptoms, she has a decrease in libido, difficulty sleeping, feelings of hopelessness in the last month. As far as the difficulty sleeping and feelings of hopelessness, I associate those with B or C for depressive.
Whoa. What's my decrease in libido? Did you just ignore that?
I was just comparing two of the symptoms, but no, I did not.
What does that mean?
A decrease in sex drive.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay. So we don't get to ignore those, especially when there's two lines that they give me all of that for a reason. Okay. I think I've heard somewhere it's a reading test.
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard someplace. So all of the words matter. So no sex drive. She can't sleep and she feels hopeless and it's been a month. That's what I want you to understand. How would I diagnose her based on those symptoms? We took out female sexual interest disorder.
I would like to rule out D for adjustment disorder.
I don't see where she moved. She started college. Something happened in her life. So now between B and C, and that's a matter of knowing the time frames.
Within the last month. Get the time frames confused.
So persistent depressive disorder is 2 years in adults and 1 year in children.
And major depressive disorder is less time than that.
It starts off at 2 weeks, but if it continues, again, so 2 years in adults and 1 year in children. So it's been a month. It's still major depressive disorder.
Yes.
If it's said for the last 2 years, it would be persistent depressive disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you for being brave.
Thank you for offering me to try.
My repeat offenders, and as you're studying, do these questions feel similar? You're not going to get a lot of the DSM questions, but I think these are easy. You just have to know your DSM. You just have to know the facts of DSM. You just have to know. In the real world, you'll just Google it.
Dr. Pam, how come it couldn't be A?
Because if I have female sexual interest arousal disorder, I'm not going to be depressed. It just means I can't achieve orgasm.
Okay.
And that may make me depressed, but I'm not going to have difficulty sleeping or difficulty hopelessness. I could say so many things, but I'm not going to. So, okay. So my female sexual interest or arousal disorder means that my partner is not working for me. That's not true. That is not true. It means that as I get older, sometimes my estrogen drops, and I have difficulty with penetration, and I may not achieve orgasm as easy as before. But that's not depression. Okay.
So the difference between B and C is the time frame.
It certainly is. It
Okay.
certainly is. And it's a reading test. If they go out of their way to mention it to you, it matters. It matters. So many of you just glance over the questions and don't spend time in the question. And that's why you're not passing, is because you're forgetting that it's a reading test. They're giving you hints and clues all day, every day in the question. They're not out to trick you. I swear they're not. Okay. Tiffany, you've been quiet. Looks like you want this question, don't you?
Okay. A 34-year-old man calls a therapist in a community clinic and inquires about the possibility of internet therapy or phone sessions. He reports that he's unable to leave the house or use public transportation due to extreme anxiety. The therapist will most likely diagnose the man with. So he is an adult, he's a 34-year-old man. He does not want to leave the house, and he doesn't want to use public transportation. So I would rule out.
Read all four. Okay, gonna read all four first.
Yeah, gotcha. I would rule out panic disorder.
Okay. Do you know the difference between a panic attack and a panic disorder?
I think a panic disorder continues over time.
Okay. Anybody ever had a panic attack in the group? I've had them. You're dying. Your heart is racing. It's tachycardia. You're dying. Your heart is racing. It really is racing. Okay. A panic attack is what most people end up in the emergency room because they think they're dying. The doctor has done all this research, the thing, and they say, no, Pam, there's nothing wrong with your heart. So the attack is once, but the panic disorder is now I'm worried for the next 30 days that I'm going to have another panic attack. The question may say that Pam sleeps in the hospital parking lot because she's afraid that she's going to die. If you've never had one, I can tell you you really think you're dying. You really think you're dying. And when you're a therapist, your therapist's mind is like, oh, Pam, you're not dying. But then you're like, oh, but maybe you are dying. It's bad. Okay. So the disorder is having one, worrying about having another one for 30 days. So that is definitely out.
The disorder comes second. Having the panic attack comes first, and then having the disorder comes
worrying about it is after 30 days. Got it. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So So it seems like it's leaving the house and it's the public transportation. So I'm ruling out social phobia.
Okay.
Because they're not mentioning like anything about his interactions with people being the problem.
Do you know the diagnosis for GAD? 6 months, free-floating anxiety, not tied to anything. Okay. If you're asking for test accommodations, I always say to you, don't say you have test anxiety, because you don't. You have generalized anxiety that gets worse at test time. You have, that's GAD. Okay. And agoraphobia is fear of leaving your house or fear of public spaces.
So I would say that it's B.
You sure would. You can have agoraphobia with depression or agoraphobia with anxiety, but in general, it's fear of leaving my house. Okay. Did you found tonight helpful? Did you learn a thing or two that you didn't know before? Okay. I can tell you by Monday, I'll put these in your chat box. So if you get those out, you can have them right away. I'll make sure by Monday you get other study information. My NCE people, please do not spend your time, lots of hours learning the DSM. It's just not worth it. I do suggest, though, that you learn the basics. Just learn the basics.
Dr. Pam, thank you for mentioning that, because that was actually one of my questions. Aside from reading the DSM, okay, how do you what do you suggest?
I want you to watch my videos.
Okay.
Okay. I'm only going to teach you what's important.
Thank you.
So whether it's this video or any other video, I'm only going to teach you what you need to know. That is it. My goal is to help you pass the test. So, and again, in groups. So I started off tonight with asking you what you've seen on the test. So what we try to do is, what we try to do is to really make sure that everyone that's taken the test, not everyone, but we try to go through most people that have taken the test and really spend time with them to make sure that if we're missing something, if there's something we didn't teach you, I need to take ownership for that. Okay. So more than usual and less than on Pocket Prep. Pocket Prep, I'm seeing up to 10 questions on the DSM. I haven't seen that many on the test. I really haven't, about 5 or 6. But the big ones, what I went over today, are the big ones. Okay. Make sure that you get everything out of the chat box.
Okay. I have another question, Dr. Pam. So you do recommend that we purchase the Hellwig book?
I do not. I will just give it to you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Dr. Pam, just to make sure, this is your one and only YouTube channel, right? Dr. Pam Turner. Because I don't want to miss a video. I promise I don't.
Be sure you subscribe, because
I am.
videos like once a week.
I subscribe to everything with your name on it. So
yes.
Thank you.
Book. Yes, we have had some scammers that have tried to pretend to be us, and we try to keep them out. This is actually the first time we've ever pressed charges. So this time we press charges. I'm not sure anything will happen to it, but if you want to be me, you get all the crap that comes with being me, include working 17,000 hours a week. Other questions? I'm finding the Hellwig book to download it for you.
I have a question. For SAD, seasonal affective disorder.
Oh, are you talking about me again?
I saw a video that you recently uploaded, and you were talking about, there was like a question that you had on that, and I realized I was like kind of working it out in my head, and the answer that you had at the end of the video, I had no idea. I thought that it would be summer, was
Do,
the
do,
least.
do you not see my light box therapy?
Yes, that's awesome.
I need that. I need that.
But
Amazon.
oh, that's awesome. I might have to check it out too to get one. But I guess I was wondering, I think I remember what you said in the video. You said like the treatment is the light therapy, right?
Light box therapy.
And is it it's not CBT or psychotherapy?
So it's still a mood disorder, isn't it?
It is. Okay.
It is. So CBT would still be there because
it's a mood disorder.
No medication or medication?
So for the test, CBT and meds are still the right answer, right?
Okay.
Okay. This is not a test question. I will tell you personally that when I don't do well when there's no sun, and my doctor and we increase my antidepressant. Okay, we start usually in about September because I know I'm not going to do well. Thus, the reason Dr. Pam is moving to the Caribbean this year. So I don't do well. I don't do well.
Good for you. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't want to get out of bed. I want to put the cover over my head, and I want to just stay in bed. My depression wants to win, and there are some days I want to let it win. I'm not going to lie. I'm